And that takes us into the land of Giruvegan. The mysterious ruins beyond the Feywood. The music here doesn't sound too inviting. It almost sounds like some kind of tragedy befell this place.
On the farther shores of the River of Time, shrouded deep in the roiling mist.
What is it, Fran?
The mist runs thick here.
Like on the Leviathan?
Do not worry. I will behave myself. The mist here is cooled. I sense something like the shadow here.
Fenar. It appears Sid has yet to arrive. We'll lie in wait for him here.
So we're not going inside?
Not unless you want to end up twisted. Like the old man. Something there.
What is it?
She can see him. Let's follow her.
Whatever happened to being sensible and not going into the ancient ruins that drive people insane? Yep, we are going in there anyway. I mean, they wouldn't deprive us of going to a dungeon after all. It was kind of cool of both of you to be like, actually, no, let's not go into the dungeon because, you know, my dad went in here and he went insane when he came out, but yeah, they still make us go in here anyway. I do just like kind of the concept of this place. It just feels really creepy. It's just this... Because often ancient magical ruins of ancient civilizations are a thing in JRPGs, but it's rare that you have them feel like this eldritch, like almost Lovecraftian in the sense that people have gone here and come out mad. So why exactly? We know Dr. Sid's not-so-imaginary friend Venar has ties to this place. Okay, I'm actually back in the Feywild now, because one, I found an urn here for the map most likely, but I've already explored pretty much everywhere. The other is, I actually forgot about one rare game here. It spawns in White Magic's Embrace when the in-game timer is between 0 and 10 minutes. In terms of like the minute section, and I'm going to just run and try and spawn it. It's called Juggernaut. There it is. Somebody's Asuna-ing, and that would be Barsh. Okay, like, now that it's actually spawned, it's probably gonna stay here until I kill it. Balthir also leveled up on the way here, and he also poached a few, of the, Mirror Knights and obtained some of those really cool named items. Okay, oh, I don't have to dispel it here. Oh, yeah, this thing actually is hitting pretty hard. Maybe instead of Barsh, I should put in a magic user. Yeah, as I thought, it's weak to arrow. Still pretty beefy in terms of health, though. And getting some good combo attacks in. Yeah, I guess overall the Masamune isn't, like, super high power in terms of damage, but it makes up for it with its combo attack rate again. By again, I'm saying again to something I said in the previous part, not this part. Oh, right, that's what the immune thing is coming from. Poach. Oh, well, it's gonna die in a few seconds anyway. There we go. A piece of lumber. And with that, back to Giruvegan. Oh, wow, a bubble belt? That is great, but I think the only other people who can use that here are Barsh and Balthier, although... No, I suppose no harm in giving that to Balthier, although losing that much speed is a bit annoying. Although guns are slow to fire anyway. I like how you can subtly hear bells in the back of this music, that's cool. Spiker. I think that's a gun? Okay, it's only slightly worse than the gun he currently has. So he would have got decent guns soon anyway. Thankfully you don't have to resummon Belias to get in here. Now, if I'm remembering right from a speedrun I very briefly watched, I think there's a mini-boss coming up. And I know it because this mini-boss demonstrated the stop-reverse decoy strategy. They basically shoved someone up in its face and inflicted stop, reverse, and, well, decoy on them. Yep, that's the mini-boss. To just force this thing to keep attacking it and barely do anything. That's a very big meat cleaver looking weapon. Okay, the background here looks like a static image, and that's much easier to tell in this version than it likely was in the PS2 version. I still actually think this game looks surprisingly good. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but this game actually runs surprisingly well on Switch. Although it has a very weird, like, P rating. It's like 8 something P, docked and like something less undocked. Daedalus. Okay, given that we're using Courage on it, I'm guessing it's undead. Okay, what do we have in terms of... I could try and decoy Barsh, because he doesn't have shell up. Yep, Barsh has lure, so now we can go ham on this guy. It is a bit annoying that shell kind of has detrimental effects. Yeah, we're out of tremor range too if we hang back like this. Maybe I should actually turn off my shell gambits, because it really does feel like this kind of strategy is really helpful for a party that consists of one big beefy physical attacker and two squishy mages. And back to stone. We're gonna do a victory. Yeah, we're gonna do a victory pose. That's 2 victory poses in pretty close succession, but still, this is awesome. And I like how Barsh looks with that spear. It turning back to stone just... this is another thing that I feel like I've said on this channel at least once before, but I'm getting reminded of something that I watched briefly as a kid called The Worst Witch, that involved an episode with like a goblin that does the opposite, or a troll that does the opposite of what it's told, and it also started as stone, and how it's defeated is that, nobody thinks to do this until the very end of the episode, but the principal of the school comes and says to it, whatever you do, never turn back into stone. But it also leads to a pretty funny moment where, basically it's attacking one of the characters, like the best friend of the main character, and to get it to stop attacking her, the main character has to say, no, go for her, attack her! And of course the friend doesn't know how this thing works, so she's like, what are you doing? Stop it! And then he's like, no, go for her! Not realizing that the more she says that, the more it targets her and not... Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. Oh, I remember this place now. So yeah, we're inside the ruins of Giruvegan now. We also have some gate stones. And this place, I remember very well, because it has some Malboros in it that are, extremely brutal. Okay, I've turned off Penello's... I wonder if I should bother to, like, recast Decoy... Or if I should just, like, if I should have that as a gambit, or if that would just run... I forget how long Decoy... because Decoy's already gone. So I think we have some kind of gate puzzle here. This area is actually reminding me of a... to avoid spoilers, I'll just say, a certain place in Persona 5. Gargoyle Baron. These gargoyles, however, I like how their wings are feathers, but these gargoyles cannot use all types of weapons and magic. I really wish you got a playable Baron in Fire Emblem Genealogy. Although, I mean, technically speaking, we did get a playable... Okay, I'll cut that out because that's a spoiler. We did technically get a playable example of a better version of the Baron class in a later Fire Emblem game, but to say what class that is would be a spoiler. But yeah, I always did kind of want to go. Like, I had an idea for a Fire Emblem fan game where you'd recruit a Baron, like, in a side quest or parallel chapter, and, like, they were, like, the actual Baron of a local village. Just thought that would be kind of interesting. So yeah, we have a shield here. But I think we can, yeah, we can attack this thing through the barrier. I guess you could say we're getting over the barrier. I really need to play the Crossbell games. Yeah, wow, we can still see stuff down there. Because I don't, like, entirely know what getting over the barrier actually means. I know it's like the arc words of the Crossbell Trails games. Okay, we're both 42. The enemies in this area are giving us a lot of levels. I suppose I can control Pinello for a little bit. I think this part of the song I remember being sort of iconic, and everybody got blinded. Well, my mages got blinded, so it doesn't really matter because I don't think, yeah, magical accuracy is affected by blind, but Drain doesn't do a lot to these. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, that's why, yeah, Fran's attacking, because these things must be immune to dark. Considering they're weak to holy, which is, again, an element we don't have. Because I feel like there is something, like another area that has, like, a remix of this song. Oh, those things down there. Yeah, those are the Malboros. So, you might have thought that I was exaggerating the dangers of Malboros earlier in the game. Vivian, yeah, are these, like, undead? I know there are some undead Malboros. I guess we'll tell if... Nope, Pinello's not using, Oh, nice disable. Pinello's not using, her, Cure Gambit on them, so they're probably not undead. But... yeah, these things have a breath attack. I forget if it's... I don't think it's bad breath. I think it's actually, like, putrid breath or something. They have a breath attack that gives you basically every single status ailment. So, I remember it pretty clearly. Unlike, though, their regular breath attack, it's actually pretty short-ranged. It's basically just in a very short circle around them, whereas, bad breath is, like, a line ahead of them. So you have to be standing basically right up in their face to be vulnerable to it. I remember this pretty clearly from my first playthrough. Could be wrong about it though. And how much does Pinello do with her crossbow to these guys? Oh wait, she's blinded. She does seem to be doing more though than Drain. These things must have a lot of magic resist in that case. However, I am still blinded, so I mean I have tons and tons of eye drops. I'm not sure how easy it would be to administer eye drops in a situation like this. In fact, Fran, you need to eye drop yourself too, because you're about to fight something that's immune to dark. You know, I'll have to check to see how much damage she does with her bow against these, but fire might be doing more. Vaughn has actually switched over to the Orochi, by the way. I just wanted to try that. Because it's weaker than the Masamune, but it does have a chance of disable. Which basically equals immediate death. Mithril Golem. Isn't there like someone in something that got obsessed with Mithril or something? I don't think it was the dwarf king from The Hobbit who, oh, that was, yeah, it was an Arkenstone. It wasn't the, wasn't Mithril. I feel like I just feel like I've heard a fantasy character just say Mithril or something. Just be totally obsessed with it. Like how My dad used to show me episodes of an old show called Lost in Space, where one of the characters is obsessed with platinum. Now, disable is such a debilitating status, both for enemies and for you. So I'm not really surprised that 13 kind of changed it into Pain and Fog, although Fog was basically just silence. They block physical and magical attack usage, respectively. I do like the Pain status. Although it was kind of funny how the because you know how like there's like Ra and Gar levels of spells. Well, the multi-target fogs, or at least the higher level fog spell in that game was called Fogger, which sounds really silly. I don't know what sounds sillier, that or like Immobilizer Gar. I don't know if it's supposed to be Immobilize Gar or Immobilizer Gar. Well, because it's also interesting because, despite, like, the fact that a lot of Final Fantasy games have voice acting, it's actually very rare that you hear the characters. This is yeah, something, I think, Shin Megami Tensei and Persona had this too. It's actually really rare that you hear the characters actually say these spell names in, voice dialogue. So that's why it just sounds kind of silly where, in, one of the Dissidia games, Lightning would say, Thundagar! Thundagar! I've always said Thundaga, not Thundagar, but oh well. And there's also a lot of conflict as to whether the, because some FF games have, in fact this one does actually, have like a 4th level of certain spells, and, in this one they're called Ja, so like Kuraja, Fire-Aja, most of them are exclusive to Espers in their boss forms. But in some games they're gun, so like Fire a Gun, Thunder Gun, and I know that because that's the case in a few of the Kingdom Hearts games, but in others they're Za, so like Fire-Aza, Blizzaza, and very infamously in one of the Kingdom Hearts games, Stopza, which shows up in a cutscene, I'll just say. I don't think you can ever use that in normal gameplay, but it's just a thing in a cutscene. There's a certain other infamous thing from Kingdom Hearts that you can never use in normal gameplay, but that's a KH3 spoiler/meme. Yeah, the behemoths seem to really resist all magic they're not weak to. I do want to at least try and show what these things can do. Okay, I thought that was a white one, that was a different one, but no, it's the same enemy. I kind of want to show what these things can actually do, because if they do get a chance to use their, Cloying Breath, no, Cloying Breath is just, like, slow and sleep. It's not that bad at all. Forget who has the better remedy laws here, but I guess you can try to Esuna. Esuna doesn't get rid of slow, which is the problem. Oh, you don't even have Esuna. But I did buy a whole ton of remedies. Okay, she at least had enough to remove sleep and... Although I feel like sleep and slow are the standard ones that remedies remove. Part of me actually likes the fact that, Van being blinded is not good. I guess I can cure that with white magic. Likes the fact that you have to, like, work to make the remedies cure every status, because sometimes all status cures, you just get them, And I also like how Esuna's kind of slow to cast as well, because it gives it a bit of a drawback compared to... Like, for example, in Pokemon, the moment that you get access to full heals in Pokemon, you really never need to buy the individual status cure items ever again. Because full heals are cheap enough, they're practical even with, even if they cost a little more than other things, because money is just so easy to get in Pokemon for the most part. But in this one, you do have Esuna being slower to cast, so at least there's a bit of a drawback there. Okay, I believe we should be teleporting to a new area soon. Or walking out into an empty void. And we have, Mithril Golems. Is it worth using Dispel on these things? I really don't know. Guess I should focus down the weakened one first. A lot of things in these areas are weak to water, it seems, so getting the Aqua Shot on Boltveer early was good, although I don't really have access to many other types of Boltveer, well, not Boltveer, gun ammo, because anyone can use guns, and again, Balthier is objectively one of the worst uses of guns in this game. I just like it because it suits his personality, and it also fits because, yeah, Dr. Sid is also a gun user, so... Oh, I remember this now. Yeah, I do remember this now. Yeah, this area is pretty distinctive. It's like, it is one of, like, the sort of a later game dungeons, so it's pretty memorable in that way. But I think these kind of platforms appear in another area, which we'll be seeing sort of soon-ish, I think. Behemoths are usually late-game Final Fantasy enemies, but looking them up for the part where I explored the Osmone Plain, I did find it kind of interesting that, Behemoths first appeared in Final Fantasy II, I think, but there was concept art for them in Final Fantasy I that looks basically how they ended up looking. So they were clearly planned to be in the first game, but they never got around to implementing them. To see other examples of this kind of thing, check out the TV trope saved for the sequel, which is something that does happen a decent amount. Like, I still think one of the main examples I know of this is that even Arn from Persona 5 is kind of, I think Fran can regen herself, actually, to get rid of that sap. But yeah, she was kind of based on an early concept for Risei in Persona 4. At least parts of it retooled into Risei in Persona 4. As much as I'm kind of liking spreading out the levels evenly, I also kind of want to bring back Ash and Balthier, because I feel like they just kill these things faster, and that's kind of what I want to do at this point. Because Giravegan, if I'm remembering right, is like, it's... Okay, it's weird. As far as, like, dungeon length goes, it both is and isn't a long dungeon. And in a game where most dungeons I've been able to fit in a single video, which has actually kind of surprised me. Sort of, decent. Yeah, so that didn't open that one. I'll keep Fran in, but I'll take... I mean, Balthier's ahead of everyone else in terms of levels, really, but... Again, I kind of want to kill things quickly, because... This is only a taste of the terror that Giravegan will unleash. I was talking about Lord of the Rings earlier, so I guess that fits, well, The Hobbit, but it's the same thing. Kind of. The Hobbit, I think, was originally supposed to be a standalone kid story, but, Tolkien has developed its universe more. Oh, Balthier's Gambit's off. That's why he's not doing anything. And apparently, like, the backstory of The Last Alliance was also supposed to be a standalone thing, because I read somewhere, this was a very long time ago, this was during high school, so yeah, but I read somewhere that, the Last Alliance backstory was supposed to lead, like, after the defeat of Sauron, it was supposed to lead to the world turning into the prehistoric real world. So yes, one of those, oh, this fantasy world was actually the past of Earth all along twists was going to be done for one of the most famous fantasy works of all time, that in a way, it's kind of fitting that I'm talking about Lord of the Rings here, because Lord of the Rings inspired Dungeons & Dragons to an extent, not entirely. I know it's a bit of a misconception to say it completely inspired Dungeons & Dragons, but early D&D did actually have, Demon Tail, nice. Although now I'm imagining, because of the pose thing, Balthier just grabbing that thing and just pulling its tail off. Daikon, a Diacon entity. Entite. Can I Libra this? Oh, she has Giltos. No, I didn't mean Steel, I meant Libra. Wrong technic. 40... It is weak to Dark, though. Do we think we can take it? Okay, let's hope that we don't forget it. In fact, it's actually better to use physical attackers. Let's... Nope, I aggroed the golems anyway. So, this thing's probably gonna kill us horrifically. Although Ash is getting a Curaga in. Let's see how much Darker does. Oh, Dispel goes up. Oh no, Holy. Didn't think the first time we'd be seeing Holy would be as an enemy spell. Wow, that looks insane. And it's very devastatingly powerful as well. Where the heck even is Ash right now? I guess we'll find out by oh, she's up the stairs, okay. Fran's getting risen. If I just stand here and have Vaughn just... oh, the reason why I put Vaughn in the party was I thought he had the Masamune. Suppose I can give him that here. Uh-oh. Well, Vaughn's probably gonna die. That thing looks like it has a bigger AoE to it than it actually does. A lot of spells in this game are like that. Like how Scathe looks like it hits a giant line in front of you, when actually it doesn't really. It's just the same circular area that most magic has in this game. We can probably finish this thing. But if that's the case, I'll probably only fight this one, and in fact, I should probably have Vaughn try and steal from it, because, how much is... I forgot Vaughn had 1,000 beetles. Yeah, Holy Crystal. The better thing you can get from it is the Halcyons, or however you pronounce that, but those are extremely strong, yeah, Fran should be focusing on it, loot items. Arcane, Dark, might be hitting it? I don't know. Okay, Vaughn's back immediately. I think it's... yeah, it's dead! Okay, that was... I wouldn't say painless, because it wasn't, but it was alright. I kind of brute force it from rivals, though. But maybe next time we see one of those things, let's switch to physical attackers only. Of course, Barsh can end up healing people, though. And Vaughn will have magic eventually. There is some pretty decent magics down in kind of this area and kind of not. An area that both is and isn't this. Oh, also, if Ash is using Blizzard as her default gambit, she should probably be equipping, that. Yeah, Blizzard is her default. So all this time, Ash could have been doing even more damage to the behemoths. She could have been doing over 10,000. That is terrifying. Oh right, I was gonna switch out for Bolthier because I wanted to use his guns to kill these things quickly. Of course, not that we really need that when, you know, Ash is doing this. Demon Tail, I think, is somewhat useful for some item that we need to get. Oh, I need to look up what rare game are in this place. Time Requiem. I think that's one of the abilities that the Mind Flayer could use in that hunt. It's definitely not a Hero's March, though, which just basically gives you all the buffs ever. Bad Breath. I forget if it's Bad Breath or if it's like Putrid Breath that does the really, really dangerous. Yeah, one of those things did not walk into range of that until like later in the attack animation, which means that, yeah, the area is based off of what's going on when the spell is first cast, rather than when it actually goes off. In other words, it kind of follows the Xenoblade Chronicles lore of attack causality, I guess. It is very convenient in Xenoblade Chronicles, like for example, Backslash. If you are behind the enemy when you cast Backslash, then you will still get the bonus damage, even if by the time the animation goes off, you're no longer behind the enemy. It's not entirely realistic, but it's very convenient. Xenoblade 2 works the same way. Oh, weak to water. Well, I mean, that's good for Bolthier, though. What do we get to poach off of these? Oh, they seem to be immune to that. Yeah, you wouldn't think poaching a magically created construct would be... I mean, people could study it, maybe. I can imagine people, have I activated this switch yet? I don't know if I did or not. See, I don't know if that, like, that magical animation that it has means that it's on, or it means that it isn't on. Aegis shields. Let's see. Shield 6, magic evade 50. Except Barge has to give up the Dragon Whisker to use that. I could go for that later, maybe. So, I think here is on the other side of that barrier that we couldn't get past before. Oh yeah, slow blind and poison on Varn with the bad breath. There's putrid breath, and it's dead. Even if the attacks were already going off, they probably would have all, died before they got a chance to use putrid breath if I tried to turn off my gambits to show it. But it's just, you get disease, and sap and poison. It's just really a bad time for everyone. Okay, so our goal here is to get through, okay, Gate Taichi. Balthier's in the level 43 club now. Taichi. Okay, I guess these have to be... Oh, it would make sense they need to be deactivated rather than activated because they're controlling the gates. I don't even know what I did in my first playthrough when I didn't know how to switch characters in the middle of battle, and somebody got stopped. Overdue for putting that in Varn's gambits. I don't even know if we need to bother with those things. Yep, we can still go down this path. You two have fun over there. I'm guessing cutscene. Yep, there we go.
I can't shake the feeling we're somewhere we're not meant to be.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Exciting?
You are not troubled by the unknown? Who can say what lies ahead? We may encounter the very creators of Nethicite.
Yeah, I don't know what we'll find. I like it better that way.
You're sounding more the Sky Pirate every day.
Varn is very much all about exploring and discovering new things at this point. It is just an interesting motivation, and in a way it does kind of fit with kind of the real strength of this game, because I could go into that later because I don't want to get too sort of negative, but some people have said that Bulwark Chrono. Okay, I thought we'd have to solve some kind of puzzle to open that, but it just opened up. Some people have said that some things about how they're not really invested in this game's story all that much, and it's kind of weird because I actually think this game's story and characters are actually quite good, and the writing I think is excellent. It's just there isn't a lot of story. In a way, it's kind of comparable to an excuse plot in a lot of platformers, where the story is more to facilitate you going to places to explore, fighting enemies, getting loot. It is very much a single-player MMO game. But it's kind of a shame, because what little there is of story is actually quite good, and you kind of wish there was more. So, okay, there's actually a bit more to this place. That giant thing that we saw, that we could see there, that is, that's something kind of, slightly important. I apparently think, like, that thing is just called, like, Lowtown Spirits or something in Japanese or in the, one of the older versions. Can't see any enemies around here, though. This area also looks very green, but... yeah, it just does feel like... see, I personally like going to these areas and seeing what enemies to fight here. Just also the level of party customization you get, especially in Zodiac. It's all about playing around with different weapons, different magic, different gambit combinations, finding things that work. I know I haven't changed my gambits in a long time, and that could also be something that might be putting off some people, but... I found some stuff that works decently well, and I'll probably need to change it for some of the fights, but I also do experiment sometimes, like for example that lure strategy against that mini-boss earlier. The Doahan, I think it was. I fought it in this part and I've already forgotten its name. But yeah, there's actually a lot of different, like, as much as it does seem like the game, you know, plays itself if you've got the right gambit setups on, there are a decent amount of combinations, as well as, like, especially in Zodiac, experimenting with class combos as well. Like I was saying before, I feel like Shikari can do good damage with ninja swords, but it can also be a good complement for a magic-based class, if you only have it focus on, like, shields and the main gaunch, because, again, that weapon's terrible power doesn't mean anything if you're not attacking with a weapon, if you're just going to be using magic all the time. So that's interesting too. And also you've got other combos like, you know, Mechanist comboed with magic classes, because, you know, guns don't really care about your strength stats, so no matter how low your strength is, you can still do good damage with guns. Oh. So I was like, I can't get through there, what is it? But if you look closely at the ground here, you'll notice that those things are here. Guess where we're going next? Yep, they're funneling us right into that enormous crystalline structure. Gotta go off the beaten path to fully discover this, and... okay, I may as well keep going because I have a feeling there's a boss here. This looks like a boss arena. Yep, the path back has disappeared, and I had a feeling it'd be some kind of flying thing. Oh wow, you just barely made it in time. Like, wait for me, wait for me! Falling to my death due to the path falling is, can't use techniques. Okay then. Tyrant. Bit of a generic name, but oh well. But yeah, that would be like the worst way for a boss to die. Just trying to get to the fight, to fight like the heroes, and then it just can't, like the path falls away before it can get there, and it just falls to its death. That would be kind of funny. Sad, but also kind of funny. Okay, so, alright, you've got a bit more health on you, I appreciate that. In that case, I want to sort of take somebody out of the party, because I might want to try something. Sonic Fangs. Well, I'm so sorry, Fran, but I was actually vaguely banking on that, because I want to try, as much as this music is really good, I would like to see how Exodus does against a boss. Is he going to override the boss theme or not? No, he's not. Amazing. I like that. Because, yeah, he can do, like, up to tens of thousands of damage in a single attack. Or he can also do barely any damage in a single attack. Because when Exodus starts actually taking damage, it is basically his max HP, though, not his current HP. It's a good thing summoning doesn't count as a technic. Yeah, see, it is very random, like, as you can see, but when it does a lot, it does a lot. Oh, Piercing Graviga. Okay, so Piercing Graviga is a gravity spell that pierces resistances. It has a very large tendency to kill you. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. But it seems to be only single target, and okay, Exodus took like 8,000 damage and still, he's still got a lot of health left. Unfortunately, like, if Exodus is, like, that is the kind of the case with a lot of, summons that, have gambits. and have Curaja, so he's not coded to use Curaja unless there are no enemies present, because it's at the bottom of his priority list, so if you want him to use Curaja during a fight, you actually have to tell him to manually. However, I could probably afford to keep Exodus going for a little long. Actually, I'll see how much Ardor does to this guy, and then I'll show Exodus a super move, because I never got to show that before. In fact, I never actually got to say this earlier. Yeah, Ardor is very slow in terms of its animation. That's why it's generally the whole red Battle Mage Archer combo is a bit overrated to a lot of people, because Ardor is strong, but it's not spammable, and up to 30,000 damage to all foes in range. Yeah, Meteor's damage is also random, just like Comet, but it's got a bigger range on it. So yeah, we never got to see this, and I never got to see this before, but Exodus was one of the summons that had a really bizarre condition for their super move in the vanilla version. In the vanilla version, it was remaining time less than 10 seconds, and status equals immobilize. So, you know what? I don't think I've ever seen this animation before. Because I doubt I ever saw this in the PS2 version. This doesn't look familiar to me. Launching both the scale rocks, that's cool. Meteor is sometimes like an actual vanilla spell in some FF games. It's usually non-elemental, so that fits with Exodus's non-elemental theme. So how much did that actually do? Oh, it did the full 30,000, I think. Was I just lucky, or is that guaranteed in certain circumstances? Oh, there's Piercing Proviga again. It's percent-based, but I still think it can kill. Because I've seen Penelo kill things with gravity before. That was actually not a pushover of a boss fight. Like, it didn't really do much to us, but it at least had a lot of health. I got to demo some things against it. Oh, well, it actually did fall in the end. Does that count as a Disney villain death? Because it disintegrated mid-fall, just like a certain Disney villain. So, technically the fall didn't kill it. So you have to ask yourself, is that really a Disney villain death? Like you can see reflections of the party in the background there. But yeah, Meteor in some games is, in this game, as a super move, and in some games, like FF7, Meteor is a plot device, and not an actual usable spell. I'll have to look into how Exodus's Meteor works, because I almost... like, I was either absurdly lucky there, or the full damage is guaranteed in some circumstances. But anyway, I think this is as good time as any to leave things off here, because Giravegan has a dungeon within a dungeon in it, and we'll be entering that next time.